So one thing I talk about on this program semi-frequently, to the detriment of both myself and my audience numbers. Every time I talk about this subject, I lose people from my audience. Why though? But why is that? Well, we'll get into that later. But this is some interesting news here. Right now, let me give you a history lesson. I'll put this headline up here real quick. But let me give you a history lesson. This country has done nothing. Now, I know a lot of people, they might hear that and they might freak out because they're dumb and they have a low IQ. This country has done nothing to combat the spread of COVID-19. Nothing. Nothing. This country has left us all to die. That's what this country has done. What country? The United States. At the World Economic Forum, billionaires who in the media are telling us that COVID is over, billionaires at the World Economic Forum had mandatory testing for every room at their economic forum. They had wall-to-wall HEPA filters and air purifiers and UV lights. The theory with UV lights is they kill the virus in the droplets in midair. And they got up there with all of this in place and told everyday people that there is nothing to worry about. Now, you may know people in your life that don't believe in COVID. And now again, when I say don't believe in, actions speak louder than words. If someone says, oh, COVID is real, and they go outside without wearing a mask, or they go to parties and bars and all that kind of stuff, they don't believe COVID is real. And the same way that if someone says climate change is real, climate change is real, folks. Right? And yet, maybe they're a president and they approve an oil project. They don't believe in climate change. Right? In order to actually and functionally believe that COVID is real, you need to actually base your life around that. Now, I don't want to make this a segment where I talk about myself, but I will. I haven't really left the house in almost 3 years now. Now, I've left the house a couple times for a couple of occasions, right? Protest stuff, always wear a mask. I've, had to go to the doctor a couple times, but I stopped really, I haven't gone to a restaurant. I mean, I went to a restaurant once, but it was outdoor eating. But especially this year, I just haven't really left the house. I don't go anywhere, right? I just don't go anywhere. Why is that, though? It's because I don't want to get COVID. And I know that this country has done nothing to protect people from COVID. Now, again, as we saw at the World Economic Forum, there are plenty of ways that we can actually reduce the spread of COVID, one of them being HEPA filters to constantly reflow and refresh air, right? We have that technology. We have the solution. We do nothing. We have masks, but Americans are too stupid to wear them. We have soap, but Americans are too stupid to wash their hands. We have, again, HEPA filters, but Americans are too stupid to use them. Well, anyway, I like to say too little, too late on this, but again, this is proof that the country, the government, can do something. Why would Illinois issue 60,000 HEPA air purifiers if COVID does not exist? Why would they do this? They do it because they actually want to protect kids. But it's too late. According to the CDC, 98% of Americans under the age of 18 years old, 98% of them have gotten COVID. According to the CDC, under 18, 98%. 98% of the next generation has gotten a disease that we know targets the immune system, similar to AIDS. It targets your neurological development. So imagine, right, your brain is not fully developed until you're around your mid-20s. Some people late 20s, some people early 20s, but the average is mid-20s. Now imagine getting a disease that targets your brain when your brain is still developing. What happens if you're a child who drinks a lot of alcohol from an early age? What happens if you're a child who, let's say they're huffing gasoline to get a fix from an early age, or they're drinking leaded water from an early age? What happens? Well, it destroys their brain growth. 98% of the next generation, 98% of the next generation are fucked. So I think that's a little worrisome. But again, too little, too late is true, but it's also better late than never. So let's read some information here. The Illinois Department of Public Health is launching a program that will distribute over 60,000 HEPA air purifiers to more than 3,000 Illinois schools to help reduce the transmission of respiratory viruses, including COVID. $29.6 million program. $29 million. Let's round it up. $30 million. $30 million for almost an entire state to have their schools fitted out with HEPA air purifiers. $30 million. Can anyone remind me of how much money we waste on the military budget? Fuck it. Fuck the military budget. The CARES Act. How much money did we waste on the CARES Act, giving a bunch of big businesses free money while poor people lost their jobs? $30 million for the state of Illinois. Now, again, is this a perfect system? Are they going to perfect anti-COVID measures? No. But it's a huge, huge dent. It's a huge dent. And that Illinois is not like a red state that has like -6 people. It's not Wyoming, right? So imagine if we actually took this seriously. I mean, just think of the alternate world where we took this seriously in April of 2020. Instead, we're waiting until April of 2023 to even start getting the ball rolling. IDPH estimates that the program will cover 68% of school districts in the state, excluding Chicago, which received a separate federal grant. The portable air purifiers will be delivered to school districts in the coming months. I don't know why they're waiting so long. Schools will generally be eligible for one small air filter unit for each 20 students in school, with a limited number of larger units for districts with more than 1,000 students. So again, is this going to magically fix everything? No, it's not. Air purifiers are great in the same way that masks are great. You need to do all kinds of mitigation efforts in order to actually have a significant effort to not get the virus. So if you combined mandatory masking with mandatory air purifiers, COVID transmission would probably go very close to zero. But the government doesn't care. The government doesn't give a fuck about you. Billionaires have lied to you, trying to brainwash you into believing COVID is over and or it's no big deal. How many people do you know genuinely believe that Omicron is mild? Remember that meme? Totally made up. Who made it up? Rich people made it up so that you would go to work the next day. Remember that? Omicron. Oh, it's mild. Oh, it's mild. Yeah, it's mild. Well, people got mild Omicron over a year ago, and now they're still sick. So tell me more about how it's mild. Right? Long COVID is a huge problem. We're estimating that about 20 to 30% of people that have gotten COVID, which is almost everybody in this country, are going to be debilitated for a long duration. Imagine the strain that's going to put on our welfare state, forcing a bunch of people to get sick so that rich people can make their next quarterly profit. So again, I haven't talked about this subject in a while. YouTube loves to, do their thing. But here's another fact, fun fact for you. The vaccine, the booster vaccine that came out that is more tailored to the variants currently circulating, under 20% of Americans got the booster vaccine. Why is that? Because Americans are fucking stupid. I need you really to understand. Now, I'm noticing, by the way, that my viewership is dropping like a rock. I'm losing like 30% of my viewers talking about COVID because people don't like to hear this stuff. But feel free to get triggered. Anyway, Americans are fucking stupid. I really need you to understand this. If you live in this country, Americans are fucking stupid. If someone is telling you COVID is not a big deal, they are fucking stupid. Okay? They're fucking stupid. If someone says that they're working at a restaurant and they don't need to wash their hands after having diarrhea shit getting all over them, guess what? They're fucking stupid. If someone says, oh, I believe in germs, but not this germ, they're fucking stupid. If someone says masks don't work, they're fucking stupid, okay? Masks are the biggest way we could, quote, go back to normal. If everyone in this country wore a mask, this conversation would not be happening. I would be going outside all the time. If everyone in this country wore a mask. But why aren't we dealing with that? Because Americans are fucking stupid, okay? And I really need people to truly understand this. This is something that I learned recently. A couple years ago, I was out there campaigning for Bernie Sanders, right? I believed the polls that said 70 to 80% of Americans wanted a universal healthcare system. I believed that. I genuinely believed that 70 to 80% of Americans wanted universal healthcare. I actually believed that because I was fucking stupid. So tell me how Americans can answer a poll, I want universal healthcare, but in the one instance where we have universal healthcare, i.e. the vaccine that works and saves people's lives, they don't get it. What happens? What happened? Well, I can tell you, Americans are fucking stupid. Americans are dumb, shit for brains, dumb motherfuckers. We know for a fact that COVID reduces your brain functionality. In a country where 93% of Americans have chronic inflammation in the form of metabolic syndrome, look it up. 93% of Americans, their immune system is constantly stressed because they eat poison, because the U.S. government manufactures and feeds poison to us, right? So 93% of us have a weakened immune system from the jump. From the jump. This is before COVID. 93% of Americans were fucked from the jump. So which means COVID is more likely to do more damage. And we know that the type of damage COVID does often results in things like brain fog, neurological degeneration. There have been studies that have found people have been diagnosed with dementia, early onset dementia, as young as 27 years old. 27 years old. And you have early onset dementia because you got COVID 3 times. And yet the government, what does it do? Nothing. Why? Well, that's speculation. But what I can tell you, without speculation, is that the government is doing all this because they know they can get away with it. And why can they get away with it? Because, once again, say it with me, Americans are fucking stupid. Like, And I want to bring back I say this often. Americans on average, Republicans especially, they're like the number one spot, right? But Americans on average are one of the, if not the dumbest groups of people that have ever lived ever in the history of the world. And what do I mean by that? You might be surprised when I say that, but it's true. And hear me out. Americans, Republicans are the number one spot, but Americans overall, out of any country are probably in the number one spot, but Republicans are, when you get granular, they're the dumbest of the dumb, right? But we, in America, are at the, what I like to call, apex ratio of lack of information that the average person has and available information. We have the internet. I don't know where my cell phone is, but I love to hold it up. Imagine I have a cell phone here. We have the internet. You're watching the stream. We have books, libraries, free. Information is free. Every day, everywhere, you can learn something. So, can you really blame people 500 years ago for not knowing how viruses worked? Can you really blame people 1,000 years ago for not knowing about proper hygiene? They didn't really know about that. They didn't have the available information that we do today. I need people to really fully understand how stupid Americans are. Americans are so fucking stupid that they behave even worse than people 100 years ago. 100 years ago in this country, we had another pandemic, and people, at least through the historical lens that no one, that I've talked to was alive back then, but at least through the historical lens, a lot of people took it more seriously than I have seen in today's history. So with less information, they were more cautious. So again, we are at the apex ratio of dumb motherfuckers. Neanderthals, by proxy, were more intelligent than the average motherfucker in America. If you put a Homo erectus motherfucker in a cringe competition with an average everyday American, who do you think would win? The American. Because Americans are fucking stupid. And this is just an example that we have the solutions. Why don't we have HEPA filters in every store, every building in America? Why? They work. They work. And yet we do nothing. And it doesn't even cost that much money. Doesn't even cost that much money. But I know a lot of people, I don't want to pick on Republicans because it's Democrats. It's socialists. It's communists. It's lefties. Everyone in this country. Have you ever met a communist? You might meet a lot of them on the internet. But have you ever met a communist that doesn't believe in COVID? They're everywhere. They're not communists. They're no different than fascists because they want to kill disabled people. They want to kill people that are immunocompromised. They just don't want to say that on their show. So when you go out there and watch other ostensibly progressive news channels and they talk about COVID in the past tense, they're a fascist. I really, genuinely, I have no other word to describe people that want to socialize the government for their benefit and screw the people that are lesser off than them. That's fascism. Right? What did the Nazis do? Oh yeah, socialism for me and my race, and we're going to kill everyone else. We're going to kill everyone that we don't like, take all the resources, and we're all going to live in luxury. That is the fascist playbook. So when someone goes out there and says, I want universal health care, except I don't care if disabled people and people that are elderly and people that have autoimmune dysfunctions. I don't care if they die. In fact, I advocate for their death by leaving the house without a mask on every day. They are a fascist. Full stop. Because actions speak louder than words. Right? If someone says, trust me, bro, I'm a socialist, and they're talking about how, I really think we should be building some better roads. I really think we should be, doing an infrastructure overhaul. But disabled people, they can die. That's fascism. I know I'm repeating myself. But I really need people to understand that when you question, how did Nazi Germany get the way that it went? We're in it. We're here. Right? We're experiencing that in many different ways. Where ostensibly socialist people are advocating for the extermination of minority groups, they might not even realize it because they're that fucking stupid. They're just that fucking stupid. You see these people doing these, I subscribe to progressive news shows. I don't really watch them anymore, but I'm still subscribed. You ever see these people that are doing live shows? They're actually telling their audience to get on planes and to fly across the world to go see them do a podcast in person that they could just watch on the internet and give everyone COVID. But they're progressives, guys. They're communists, bro. They're socialists, man. They're lefties. Now, again, actions speak louder than words. I don't give a fuck. I really don't give a fuck. Why people advocate or act against disabled people. I mean, I am not very disabled. I am the healthiest I've ever been in my life right now. And yet, I also care about disabled people. How is that possible? Because I actually believe what I say. The things that I say on my show, I believe. I believe it. So when I say COVID is a problem and that vaccines are functional and they work, I believe it. But you see a lot of people that love to lie to you. They love to say, I'm a progressive, but disabled people, I'm a progressive, but transgender people, no, man, I'm a communist. It's just not them. Not them. That's not a communism, bro. That is, you are a Nazi. It's just that simple. I really just can't try to explain it to you enough that Americans are fucking stupid. People in my audience, I have no problem losing 40% of my viewers when I start a COVID segment. Why? Because those people are fucking stupid. I don't want them to watch my show. I don't care about my audience. I don't give a fuck about my audience. Now, again, I have self-censored on COVID due to YouTube's horrible algorithm system. So I hope this doesn't ding me. Once again, vaccines work. They are effective. But again, I don't care. I'm not doing this show for money. I'm not doing this show for attention. I'm not doing this show to get famous. I'm not doing this show to get views, to get a sponsorship deal. I'm doing this show to speak my mind. This is my blog, right? This is my journal. You are all my therapist, okay? And so I don't give a fuck if there's people in my audience that are fucking dumb and she's telling me code again, I'm triggered, I'm gonna go watch something else. I don't give a fuck. Because you're dumb. I don't give a fuck about, what if I call my audience stupid when they act stupid, then they might unsubscribe. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. But a lot of people do. I need people to really understand when you watch stuff on YouTube. Now, I'm going to tell you this right now. Right? As a YouTuber, almost everyone, if not everyone, even subconsciously, they hide certain parts of them when they do public-facing streams, shows, videos, all that kind of stuff. Performers in general. They hide aspects of themselves and accentuate aspects of them that they think other people like. That is natural human behavior. I should also say, when you look at the people that are on the top of, whatever YouTube, Twitch, whatever streaming or video platform, a lot of them are normies. And when I say that, I mean people that are just regular, normal people. And now again, normal people are fucking stupid. That's my opinion. But even the smarter normal people, they still understand what it's like to be normal, to fit in. Right? It is natural for humans. It's subconscious to hide aspects of themselves and accentuate parts that maybe are themselves, or maybe play things up that in a way that they don't believe in, to get positive feedback from other people. Well, I don't care about positive feedback. I really don't. If I get it, great. But I don't tailor my show or my stream for positive feedback. I don't care. I don't give a fuck what anyone cares about me or says about me. If I lost all my viewers, I've done it before. I used to be way more popular on the internet. A lot of people don't know this. I used to get hundreds of people watching my Twitch streams where I played shitty games. I understand what it's like to buckle to the pressures of an audience, and I decided I'm not going to do that. I don't care how much money I make. I'm unhappy. I'm not going to do that. And so you're not going to see me change my opinion to get money. You're not going to see me pretend that COVID isn't real so that everyone can live in their fantasy land. I'm not going to do that. Now, again, I will say I did self-censor for a couple weeks because I was dealing with a YouTube situation. But, I'm free now, so let's get back in here. But again, I really just, it pains me. It pains me when I watch another random progressive show. I don't really watch the shows anymore. At best, I'll click a clip every now and then just to see, is this worth talking about on my program? And you see it everywhere. The big ones, Majority Report, TYT, you see all of them talk about COVID in the past tense. The best on COVID I've seen in that group is Sam Cedar. Whenever someone else on the Majority Report says that, he corrects them, which I enjoy. But whenever I've seen a clip of any of these shows talking about COVID, they're lying to people and presenting it as a past tense thing that's no longer a part of our reality, when it is. And imagine being a disabled person having to watch these shows knowing that these people don't give a fuck about you. I don't know, man. It rubs me the wrong way. That's all I'm saying. I'm just blogging. But it blows my mind. It really does. The level of collective fantasy that people are willing to engage in, where they just, it blows my mind. It really does. How someone can go on a show every day and say, I'm a progressive, I'm a leftist, I support human rights, while simultaneously telling people that a pandemic is not happening, which results in the deaths of minority groups. Like, I can't imagine that. Now, again, I don't have friends. I don't. I have people in my family. And a lot of them are like, oh, why don't you come over and visit? A lot of them are like, oh, I want you to, do this and that. We should go somewhere. I'm like, no. So you don't think this has strained my relationship with my family? Let's go do something. I'm not going outside. And they know that if they ask me or invite me to do something by this point now, they know that I'm just going to give them an earful. So, but I don't care. I'm not getting sick. I made this decision that I'm not getting sick. I refuse. When the pandemic started, I told you all, and maybe this is the best decision I've ever made in my life. Who knows? But I decided I'm going to spend however amount of time. At that time, I thought it would be a year and a half maximum, because I thought people would take the vaccine, right? But I said, I'm going to get myself into shape. I'm going to eat better. I am going to spend this time in isolation and work on myself. Now, again, I bit off a little more than I could chew. Oh, I don't know about that. I got good teeth. I can chew through these things. But here we are, more than double the amount of time I thought it would take. And I'm still doing it. I am not leaving the house. I refuse to get a fucking disease. I don't know about y'all. I'm a hypochondriac, right? The idea of getting a permanent disability, like, I need people to really understand this, right? And I'm just blogging here, right? You know, great on Illinois, by the way, in summary. But like, most of my childhood, I had chronic disease. I had chronic illnesses. You could say I was disabled, right? And I know what it's like for the first time in my life, as of recently, to be a healthy person. I'm not giving that up. So another thing I think is, you know, again, when you live in a country where 93% of people eat poison on a daily basis, and they also have like immune response issues, they don't actually know what it's like to be healthy. And so they're just giving it up because they don't care. Right? Like, and to me, like, it's just sad to see people. It's like when you see someone who's cutting themselves, your natural instinct is to run in and stop them. Whatever issues, I've cut myself before, whatever issues could lead for you to self-harm, whether that be cutting yourself, whether that be binge eating ice cream, whether that be, you know, drinking alcohol on a daily basis, whatever ways that you try to cope with whatever pain by hurting yourself, the natural instinct for someone else that sees that is to stop them. Except when the tables are reversed and the majority, the 93%, the regular people, are the ones hurting themselves. And I say this, at this point, one last thing on this subject, the more the merrier. I advocate for the protection and the rights of people that need them. And I advocate for no protection against the people that don't need them. So you don't care about disabled people and you want to go outside to a party, spring break, motherfucker, have fun. Have fun. Now again, you know, it's possible we'll develop a treatment for long COVID. But we haven't yet. You know, there's a lot of promising studies that have, you know, but we haven't yet. So I say this, have fun at spring break. Have fun going to a concert. Have fun going to a bar. Have fun going to restaurants and spending all your money on capitalist institutions instead of yourself. Why would you go to, like, I mean, I was too poor for restaurants for most of my life, so I don't really understand. Like, so you're spending more money on food that doesn't really taste any better so that you can sit around a bunch of strangers? Hey, that never made sense to me, really. I mean, like, you know, I don't know. But anyway, like, have fun with that. Because in 10 years, when you're on SSDI, after Republicans have already raided the Treasury and raided social insurance, and you're stuck getting $400 a month and you can't work because if you do any manual labor or physical activity, you start coughing up a lung, have fun with that. Because I will not be there to protect you. I'm sorry. I'm going to protect the people that actually need it. And I am not going to prioritize the health and safety of people that are going out there and essentially drinking themselves to death on poison. Right? I don't care. You know, so have fun with your social events. Have fun with your bars and restaurants and concerts. Have fun enabling and propagating the conspiracy theory that the government and the billionaires want you to. You ever meet these people? I'm anti-establishment. I just say everything the establishment says. Just out of coincidence. But I'm anti-establishment, bro. Isn't that weird? I'm anti-establishment, but what the billionaires are telling me to do, I'm going to do it without question. That's this country and its mass psychosis on COVID. They live in a fantasy world. But anyway, I'm glad people in Illinois are actually taking it seriously. But I don't know, I haven't talked about COVID in a while, so I had to unload the machine on that one. So